If you ask yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? How can I fulfill my potential? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Lifestyle, Relationships, and Career Human Design Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Naja from vanessanaja.com. My mission is to help you be on purpose and fulfill your potential by aligning in body, mind, and spirit so you can feel empowered, joyful, connected, and free. I'm so excited to share with you how to do that through human design. If it feels aligned, I'd love it if you subscribe and share. Now let's get to the episode. It's always a good idea to have your human design chart with you when listening. You can get yours for free at my website, vanessanaja.com/free chart. Link is in the show notes.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 22, where we will be talking about the emotional solar plexus in the series on centers. I'm really excited about this one because this is like one of my absolute favorite subjects to talk about in human design because it has been the most healing part of it for me personally. And the solar plexus, called the emotional solar plexus, gives you a little bit of an idea of the center of governs, which is emotional energy, emotional awareness, also spiritual awareness. In BG5, the business application of human design, this is called emotional intelligence. And remember that we all have all of these centers, we all have access to all of this energy. How it is configured in the chart is going to determine how we experience it. So you're either going to have the center defined, meaning it's colored in on your chart, or undefined, meaning it is not colored in. And the solar plexus, if you are looking at your chart, there is a triangle that is facing left on the right side of your chart, and that is the solar plexus. So you can see there if it is defined or undefined. And this is a very, very significant center in the sense that if this is defined, this is also your authority. And I did a whole episode about having emotional authority. I believe it was episode 7, so I will link it in the show notes. And I definitely recommend listening to that one as well. And even if you don't have emotional authority, even if you have this one defined, this is a center you really, really want to know how this energy works because it is actually the most significant of the centers when it comes to relationships. And about 53% of us have this center defined and 47 have it undefined. And so this is, it's about half. So about half of the people that you are in relationship with are going to have this configured differently than you do. And this is really important to understand. So one of the things, just a little review reminder about emotional authority, if you have this defined, you need to take your time making decisions. And most of the other authorities can really make quick decisions. And this is very impactful, really important to know in relationships. Some people really need to take their time, and it's important that you allow them to take their time. And other people can make in the moment decisions. So you want to really honor your loved ones' decision making strategies and how they make decisions, and that it could be very different from yours. So, the emotional solar plexus. This is both an awareness center and a motor. And it's actually the only center in the chart that is both an awareness center and a motor. And an awareness center governs our awareness and how we view the world, how we perceive the world, how we understand and interact with the world. And in this particular center, this is through our emotions and how we experience life. We do also in the center and all the awareness centers in the ajna, which we already covered, we may feel anxiety in the spleen, which was last week. There's fear, and in the solar plexus, there is nervousness. So we do experience these ways of interacting with the world in our awareness centers. This solar plexus is also a motor, and this provides energy for action and movement and moving forward in the world. And in the solar plexus, this particular energy, what's driving us, is actually emotional energy. So, when you have the center defined, you are going to be experiencing emotional energy in a very consistent way. Remember that defined centers, this is your energy, this is what you broadcast out into the world. You impact other people with this energy. And this is really good to know because you are going to be emotionally impacting other people, especially people that have the center undefined. Remember, it's not better or worse to have a center defined or undefined. It is just different. So, however, this is configured in your chart is absolutely correct for you. When you have a defined solar plexus, you are going to experience waves of emotion that are always moving. And although they can be impacted or influenced by what is happening in the outside world, nothing could be happening, and those waves of emotion are still going to be moving. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you're neutral. This is why you want to take your time making decisions and not make impulsive decisions, because where you are on your wave is definitely going to color how you are perceiving things. So you really, really want to take your time with decisions in general. And also, the thing that has been most healing for me when I have this center defined is understanding how my wave works and not identifying with my emotions or especially the lows of the wave. So remember that emotions, you are not your emotions. Whether you are defined or undefined, you are not your emotions. You experience your emotions. You might experience other people's emotions if you're undefined. And it's important just to allow them to be and allow them to flow through you. When you're emotionally defined, depending on how your wave operates, you might experience high highs, low lows. It could be anywhere along that spectrum. And we are so conditioned to believe that something is wrong with us if we're not feeling good all the time. And it's impossible to feel good all of the time. All of our emotions, whether they are joy or melancholy or hope or pain, all of our emotions are valid and just need to be felt. They don't mean anything about us. They are not who we are. They're just experiences that we're having. Now, what happens when you're emotionally defined, and I'll talk about how this works in the undefined as well, but first, in the defined, when you are low on your wave, you might start to question if there's something wrong with you, and you actually get stuck in the bottom of the wave and you compound those negative emotions. And this can lead to deep depressions. And I have had this experience in my life for sure, where I really got stuck in the low of that wave for months and months and months and months. And the way my wave moves, and this is different for everybody, and you want to definitely start tracking your wave if you're emotionally defined. I now, knowing human design, when I'm at the bottom of my wave, I just am able to be like, oh, okay, my wave is down, and that's okay. I can be with it, and I can know that it will pass. I don't need to identify with it. I don't need to question what's wrong with me because there's nothing wrong with me, and I know that the wave will pass. When you're on the high of the wave, it's a good idea to just enjoy that experience and be centered and present and not try to cling to it either. Because it is, again, it's going to pass. The wave is always moving. This is that great example of that old adage of this too shall pass. The wave is moving. You want to just enjoy it, go for the ride, be present with it, observe it, don't identify with it. And when you're emotionally defined, you can have there are three different waves. You could have one or several of them. We have the individual wave, which tends to have peaks of high highs and low lows. This is a very creative wave. This can be associated with, the tortured artist. And those lows, they can happen very quickly. It can almost be like an even keel moving wave, and then it dips down really far and it comes back up. Even keel spikes up really high, comes back down. That's the individual wave. So a lot of melancholy in this wave as well. Then you have the tribal wave. This is the one that I have. And this one kind of ratchets up slowly and then it can kind of explode and have a deep plummet. It resets, it starts again. The tribal wave is very concerned with the relationships. So this definitely can be influenced by your relationships. And you might even kill a lot of the time. But if there is really something going on in your relationships, that might really be what like really plummets the wave or sets the wave off. And then we also have the collective wave. And this one is, kind of rides up and then it plummets. It can be a little bit roller coastery. People that have this wave are oftentimes looking for experiences. There may be a lot of expectation in this wave, and if that expectation isn't met, it's a deep disappointment. People with this wave also can leap into chaos when they're bored. So, something to just be aware of. And if you don't know what wave you have, one of the best ways to really discern this energy for you is to have a reading with a qualified reader. So, I highly recommend that. You could have more than one of these waves as well. Now, remember, your emotional energy is super impactful to other people. So, in the high expression of the defined solar plexus, you're going to be aware of how your energy impacts other people. You want to be careful about taking your time making decisions, sleep on things before you make decisions, understand that emotional wave of yours, and you are going to be energized by your emotions. Remember, this is a motor center as well. Your feelings will let you know what is right for you or not, because this is also your authority. And when you're feeling down, it's a great idea to spend time alone if that feels correct, to be creative, to just take care of yourself and nurture yourself. And if you have the tribal wave, you might also really benefit from being around people that you love, getting hugs. The tribal wave can be very it likes physical touch. So that can be beneficial as long as you are with the right people. In the low expression, in this wave, you are really reactive to your emotions. You can take your emotions out on other people and impact them in a negative way. You can make really bad decisions because you're making impulsive decisions based on where you are in your wave. And you can just create chaos and confusion around you when you're really acting this out in a negative way. And then you might regret what you said or did later, or you might not. You might just be over it because you're back up on your wave. But the people that were impacted by your actions or your reactions when you were low on your wave might not forget so quickly. So this is an area you really, really want to become wise about. You really want to become present with. Tracking your emotional wave daily is something that I always recommend. And I've been doing this for a really long time. I really get to see how my wave moves. And learning to embrace all aspects of the wave, the highs and the lows, like really appreciating your emotions. This is actually really beautiful energy that you have consistent access to. And learning to appreciate your emotional experiences, no matter where you are on the wave, and letting them flow through you is really, really, really important. Give yourself time to process. You're going to be moving a little bit slower, especially in decision making, than people that don't have the center defined. And also be super aware of in your relationships who has this undefined, because those people are going to be even more impacted by your emotional energy, especially if they are not aware of their own human design and how their solar plexus is configured. So you want to learn to be more patient, take your time, appreciate your emotions, enjoy the ride, know where you are. And now, if you have the center undefined, so this is a little bit less than half of the population, you're going to be very emotionally empathic. And if you have it defined, that doesn't mean you're not empathic. There are other aspects of the chart that will indicate this. But if you're emotionally undefined, remember, you are a receiving dish. You are receiving the emotional waves of other people. You can feel them deeply inside yourself, and then you're amplifying that energy as well. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't have your own emotions. You do have them. And you're also picking up other people's emotions. So, learning to really identify and get clear about what is your own versus what you have picked up from somebody else is really, really important for you. And also being really careful about not acting out other people's emotions. And in families, you will normally see it's the child that has the undefined solar plexus that is considered to be the most emotional, because that child is amplifying everybody else's emotional wave. So you might think, even with that undefined solar plexus, that you feel super emotional all the time and you identify more with what I just said about the defined solar plexus. There could be a few reasons for this. Some of it could be what is defined on your solar plexus. So even if it's undefined, you might still have defined gates. And if you look at your chart, you see the little numbers around the solar plexus. If some of those are colored in, this is definitely going to affect this experience for you. However, you'll note that when you are having a really highly emotional experience, and if you're in the presence of somebody else with an emotional wave, and you're really amplifying that wave, you can actually leave their aura. So stepping out of that space, going to be by yourself, will discharge the energy that isn't your own. And learning to really note the difference is super, super beneficial for you, and not holding on to other people's emotions. You are designed to be very wise about emotional energy because you get to experience it in different ways from different people. You can take it in, you'll know how they're feeling, you'll know what that experience is like, and then you can let it go. In the low expression of having this undefined, you can be really, really touchy, nervous. You might be defensive. You might really avoid other people's emotions. So you can really turn even into a people pleaser or make decisions that don't benefit you because you are trying to keep somebody else happy because you don't want to feel their negative emotions. So remember, the most important thing is always following your own strategy and authority. Remember, the decisions that you make based on your authority that are correct for you also going to be correct for others, even if they don't like it at the time. This is a lot easier said than done. This is part of the process that you get to go through as you decondition through human design. With that open solar plexus, you may also at times feel not emotional at all, and at times feel really overly emotional, again, related to what you might be taking in from other people. And again, you could let this influence your own decision-making process, and it's really important not to do that because you always want to follow your own strategy and authority. A lot of wisdom lives here. You are designed to become very wise about emotions, to be able to detach from other people's emotions that aren't your own, to know what is and is not your own. You are very empathic. And it's good to know that about yourself without acting out other people's emotions or basing your own decisions on them. You want to be really careful about not getting caught up in other people's dramas. Just observe, experience, like, oh, this is the emotional energy that I'm reading right now. And just observing without acting it out is really important. And yeah, so that is the emotional solar plexus. So important in relationships with your loved ones, with your friends, with your colleagues in business. Understanding this is really important. Also, noting especially the people in your life that are emotionally defined. So like I said, about half the people in your life are going to be emotionally defined. I have gotten very good, even though I'm emotionally defined, so I can't necessarily feel other people's emotions, but I can still observe them based on how they are behaving. And learning when I see my loved ones down on their wave to just be like, oh, they're down on their wave. It doesn't mean anything about me. It's not anything that I did. I don't have any control over it. So whether you're defined or open, knowing this and just recognizing, oh, this is where they are on their wave, not making it mean anything about you. This is just energy. It's not personal. So that part is also really, really important. All right. Learning to interpret emotional energy well. It's one of the big jobs of the solar plexus. So that is it about the emotional solar plexus. Again, you want to check out the episode on emotional authority, which I will link in the show notes. I will also go deeper into this subject. And thank you so much for listening. And if you want to really understand this energy, the best way to do that is to have a reading. So remember, the whole is more than the sum of the parts. So learning about the parts is really important, but how everything ties together is what makes you truly, truly unique. So having a reading is one of the best ways to really look into this, especially to look into your wave and how your wave is configured, or how you might be experiencing emotions, even if you are undefined. So if you would like to have a reading with me, I would love to read for you. I will leave a link in the show notes on how to book that. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
If you want to dive deeper, I invite you to get a free human design mini reading report at vanessanaja.com/free mini reading, or book a human design reading with me. Links are in the show notes. That's it for today's episode. I know your time is important, and I'm so grateful you chose to spend it with me. It would mean the world to me if you engage with the episode by liking, subscribing, commenting, and letting me know any questions you have or what else you'd like to learn about. And the absolute best compliment is if you share with someone you think will benefit. It really helps me spread the message. Love and blessings to you.